you have a quote that you said, "We need to see the world from the bottom up through the lens of the cross, but America is so cross-averse." Can you explain more what you mean by that?
Well, I mean, America began with a city on the hill, the grand moral example to the world. So already you know that there's not going to be a lot of blues sensibility in that story. Which is to say that everybody knows that every city on the hill is going to have not just a lot of storms, not just a lot of connections to valley, but there's going to be a lot of funk in that city. And America begins with a deodorized self-perception. And deodorizing and funk, sanitizing and sterilizing and dealing with suffering, misery, death, sadness, they're in stark opposition. One is a sentimental story about yourself, and the other one's wrestling with the truth, you see. So the city on the hill, where the U.S. Constitution makes no reference to the institution of slavery. 22% of the inhabitants of the 13 colonies are enslaved. It is their labor constituting the wealth, which is the precondition of your democracy. No reference to that institution in the U.S. Constitution. That's called deodorization of your story. You end up fighting a civil war over an institution not invoked in your Constitution. The funk comes back. Sooner or later, you got to deal with that truth, crush the earth rising again. You see, and Christians, of course, we all in the funk. You know what I mean? Because we start off with the funk of oppression of our Jewish brothers and sisters in Hebrew Scripture. It's not pleasant being a slave in an imperial order. And then you're told to be human is to have loving kindness to the orphan, the widow. That's the second chapter of Deuteronomy, right? The fatherless, the motherless, the oppressed. That's what you are required to do. Well, wait a minute, we already oppressed. I know that. But if you form a covenant with me, that's what Yahweh says. It is incumbent upon you to have a hypersensitivity to the marginal, the fatherless, the motherless, and so on. The great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel used to say that it's so easy to be callous to catastrophe. And that's part of deodorization. You see, Hebrew Scripture on into New Testament says, keep track of the funk wherever you go. 25th chapter of Matthew says what? What you're doing to the prisoners, you're doing to me. What you're doing to the oppressed, the weak, you're doing to me. You see. So that Haiti would be one example. Our poor white brothers and sisters in Appalachia catching hell right now. The coal miners in West Virginia, our red brothers and sisters on reservations, brown brothers and sisters in burials, black folk in these chocolate slices, dilapidated housing, disgraceful school systems, depression-like levels of unemployment and underemployment. Where's the focus? How do we keep the limelight? Not in a self-righteous way. This is how we choose to be human. To keep the funk visible by loving your way through the darkness of the world. And when you love folk, you can't stand the fact they're being treated unjustly. Always on your mind.
For more information about the Veritas Forum, including additional recordings and a calendar of upcoming events, please visit our website at www.veritas.org.